Story 1. Buying bananas, I never finish them. My freezer is basically a banana graveyard. Story 2. I must shower every day at the start of my day. My day does not start unless I shower. Story 3. Water. I know it sounds so lame. Ironically, only a few years ago I never just drank plain water. Never. In fact, attempting to drink water made my stomach feel so unsettled that I got nauseous. I was addicted to sodas. Doctors were always telling me to drink water. I had to force myself to do it. Now, I barely ever drink sodas, one a day maximum. For comparison, I used to drink between 12 and 18 sodas. I am not joking. It was that awful. But now I just drink water. I love it. And yes, I can now taste the difference between different brands. I literally have favorite types of water. Story 4. Cooking my own food is much healthier than eating restaurant food. As for portion control, that is my weakness. I am used to cooking for friends, but since the COVID-19 pandemic, I have not had people to cook for. I need people to come over and eat my food. I would like that to happen again. I miss parties at my house. Story 5. Green tea. At this point, I think there is more tea in my veins than blood. Story 6. Traveling. The only downside is that the extra money I have would be nice in savings. Otherwise, it feels great to experience new places, culture, food, scenery, and people. It keeps me motivated to work hard. Story 7. I read every night and have a reading addiction. Can be unhealthy when my sleep is poor because I am too absorbed in an amazing book. However, for the most part, I think it is considered healthy. Story 8. Reading. Getting lost in books, articles, or stories can be addictive in the best way, expanding your mind, relaxing you, and fueling creativity. Story 9. Exercise is needed for at least 1 hour a day, ideally more. Can be an issue if I do not eat enough though. Story 10. However busy I am in the mornings, I have to water all my flowers and plants because I need to hold myself accountable. I actually enjoy it and like watching them grow. Story 11. Pain from skateboarding. It just gives me that adrenaline rush, you know? I'll be hill bombing, hit a rock, and be tucking and rolling. It is intense. My legs have so much road rash. Story 12. Asking myself what about today could make it the best day of my life. Story 13. Exercise reversed many of my bad choices from my early 20s. Story 14. Vegetable gardening. If you live near me, you will be getting free vegetables. Last year, there were too many jalapenos. This year, there is too much okra. Story 15. Swimming fanatic. The number of people who say I have the best swimming stroke they have ever seen is at least 1 per month. Story 16. Waking up early in the morning to do skincare and always being clean every day gives me a smile and peace of mind. Story 17. Sex people, sex, love, etc. Orgasm donation. Then there's bed scotch, a good night's rest. 3. For methylenedioxymethamphetamine, psilocybin mushrooms, lysergic acid diethylamide, and a day in nature. Story 18. Dream journey artificial intelligence. Haha, it's like an interactive novel you can type to. It is very addicting, especially since you can literally make anything happen. Kept me sane while I was pregnant and bedridden. Laugh out loud. Story 19. Not addicted, but I really enjoy sourdough bread. I love baking it, sharing it, and eating it especially as toast. It is crunchy and satisfying, and the flavor is much more interesting and better than store-bought white sandwich bread. Story 20. Costco breaded chicken nuggets. I do not eat fast food. I just pop those in the air fryer and usually make some kind of carbohydrate. Story 21. Grapes. I will literally eat them like popcorn straight out of the plastic container. I do not even notice until they are all gone that I have eaten a lot more than a bunch. Story 22. Frozen watermelon has been my go-to recently. Kind of tastes like shaved ice, actually. Story 23. I would say my go-to is a morning run. It gets the blood pumping and clears my head. Story 24. Cocaine is relatively less harmful compared to fentanyl. Story 25. I have often wondered if anything that you are addicted to can ever be healthy. Story 26. Sliced cucumber and any kind of dip. I could replace every meal with it. I love it so much. Story 27. Watching or reading the news every day to stay up to date on current events. Story 28. Running. I run every time I feel stressed or anxious because I feel free when I run. Story 29. I do not know if it is healthy, but mate, I am taking it every day lately. Story 30. A large ice-cold drink at all times. Usually it is my homebrewed tea, but I am not able to do that right now, so it is Coca-Cola Zero Sugar. Story 31. Exercising. I do it daily, usually lifting weights, sometimes running, and sometimes just a long walk. I cannot remember the last time I slept in because getting up early to do some kind of exercise is as much a routine and as important to starting my day as brushing my teeth. In fact, it is 5 a.m. while on vacation, and I am about to go to the resort gym to get some exercise. Story 32. Coke Zero. It is probably not healthy, but it keeps me hydrated and is better than all the beer I used to drink. Story 33. I do not know about healthy, but I have seen some articles stating the benefits of nose picking. Story 34. Financial submission. I send $20 to $40 to random people online per tribute. It is better than using meth or something similar. Story 35. Getting the laundry done. Feeding the animals around me decent, vitamin-rich food. Story 36. Biking to work and lifting weights 4 times a week. It usually takes a few bad sessions before I listen to my body after an injury. Story 37. I take a glass of water first thing in the morning, do some physical activities before showering, and go to work. Story 38. Accidentally turning just one grape into eating the whole bag like it is popcorn. Story 39. I have been reading a lot lately, especially physical books. I am trying to divert my attention away from screens. Story 40. Yoga. Can't focus at work? Yoga. Bad day? Yoga. Stressed? Yoga. I feel anxious when I go a day without yoga. Story 41. I'm in love with snacking on green beans. I think I have them like 4 times a day. I guess it's better than Lay's. Story 42. Going to the gym. It honestly blows my mind how I could get addicted to it. I distinctly remember being 18, sitting in my bed thinking to myself that I was always going to be fat and weak because I couldn't stick to going to the gym and that I hated it. It just did not make sense to me when people said they liked going to the gym. Now I have to force myself to take rest days so my muscles can recover. Throws off my whole day. I think I am addicted to the feeling of having my muscles full of blood. It hurts so good. Story 43. Grapes. I eat a lot of red grapes. They help me avoid eating many processed sugary items. Story 44. Seltzer. I justify the cost because it keeps me hydrated and prevents mindless snacking. It feels like a treat even though it is just bubbly water. Story 45. I always wash my hands after touching anything, such as my pets or shaking hands, before I hold my PlayStation controller, gaming keyboard, or mouse. I feel the need to clean my hands before handling anything expensive and valuable that I own. I wash my hands so frequently that my thumbprint could not be read at immigration for passport renewal, bank verification, or anything else requiring a thumbprint. I also get slightly annoyed if people touch my expensive belongings without washing their hands. I realize this may sound unreasonable. Story 46. Pre-workout powder. I like it when my face is all itchy. Story 47. Music. I am a sensory-seeking autistic. When it is controlled and familiar, my special interest is emo music. If I go more than 40 minutes without hearing my favorite My Chemical Romance song, I drop dead immediately. Story 48. Working out, wearing sunscreen, and avoiding smoking and junk food. Story 49. I bought a Kindle last September and have become addicted to reading. I am on my 30th book since then. Coffee has recently become a growing addiction. I travel for work and buy bags of coffee from local roasters on my days off, then come back home with half a suitcase of coffee beans. I have to tell myself to stop drinking it after 2 large cups so I do not enter caffeine overdose mode. Story 50. Recently, it is paint by numbers. It is so relaxing and addictive. I got my mother hooked on it too. Story 51. Gym. My 15-year-old self would have laughed at this. I started lifting weights at around 20, and now, in my 40s, I still go 5 to 6 days a week. Story 52. Reading is a discipline I treat as an athlete would treat training. I do it on days when I do not feel like it because I feel good during and my mood is elevated afterward. Story 53. Brush teeth, shower, and have a bowel movement first thing in the morning. Exercise every day. Morning coffee every day. Story 54. I recently found I am not allergic to nuts. I love pecans. Story 55. Hot shower in the morning. Daily quick prayer in the morning and evening. Sparkling drinks. Walks on a breezy evening. Intimacy. Story 56. Skincare. No matter how tired, intoxicated, or sleep-deprived I am, I will always do a quick skincare routine before bed. Story 57. Chin-ups became my favorite exercise about a year ago, and now I cannot go a couple of days without completing 3 sets of 10 to 20. Story 58. I drink nearly 2 gallons of water a day. I hope that is healthy, but I can quickly drink a pint of water at a moment's notice. Story 59. The ritual of preparing for bed. I used to have a pretty heavy alcohol dependency to fall asleep due to some bad insomnia in my early 30s. I replaced the ritual of getting drunk before bed with the ritual of turning everything off in my apartment. Cleaning the cat boxes, purifying the air, running the air conditioning, taking vitamins, and watching some television before I start getting drowsy and fall asleep. It is a much healthier habit, and I am always much better the next day when I do it. I still drink on occasion, but I no longer physically need it for sleep, detoxing, anxiety, or anything else. Story 60. Physical exercise in the morning. Even 20 minutes would make my day much better. Story 61. Counting my calories. Not in an eating disorder way, I just enjoy doing it. I always check if it is way over or under for the day. I just think calories are interesting for some reason. Story 62. Getting a minimum of 20,000 steps a day is my way of exercising when I cannot work out. I have been doing this for about 2 years now. Story 63. Yard work, exercise, music, Legos, manga, new coffee ingredients and drinks. Reddit. Story 64. Started working out 2.5 months ago. I have not stopped and have not thought about doing so. Story 65. Cooking healthy foods. I love homemade bread and chopping vegetables. There is nothing like making something rustic in solitude. Story 66. Eating healthy. I eat a lot of fruit, including apples, bananas, and berries, as well as vegetables. Story 67. I like water a lot. I dislike the taste of diet drinks, so I usually just drink water. I also dislike many sugary foods such as pastries, caramel, marshmallows, breakfast items like waffles, pancakes, and French toast, whipped cream, and certain candies like licorice, sour candies, and hard candies. I am quite an extrovert, so I usually attend events alone when I do not have anyone to come with me. I tend to make a lot of friends with the people around me. For example, I went to see the band My Chemical Romance 2 weeks ago and made 3 friends. Story 68. Masturbation releases endorphins and relieves stress. It is very healthy in my opinion. Story 69. Buying clothes for my dolls. Laughing my ass off. Hey, it could be drugs, right? At least it is not drugs. Story 70. I must vacuum my room before I sleep every night. Also, after I wake up in the morning, the first thing I must do is make my bed. Story 71. Avocados have a lot of calories, but most of them are the good kind. I could just live on lightly salted avocados all day, every day. They do not grow anywhere close to my country, so my wallet is not very happy sometimes. Story 72. Cooking at home is not just for eating healthy, but because it makes me feel present. Story 73. I have so many. I am an addict and I have been sober 3.5 years. I have replaced it with healthy addictions. Exercise, walking, and especially bird watching. Bird watching is my passion. I also love learning new things. Story 74. That first huge glass of ice-cold water when you are genuinely thirsty is unbeatable. Story 75. Earlier this summer, my truck was malfunctioning, and I had to find a different way to work. It is a 5-mile trip. I got my old beach cruiser bike working again and ended up riding 10 miles a day for a couple of months straight. My truck is operational again, but I have kept riding my bike a couple of days a week because I have come to enjoy the early morning ride in particular. Story 76. Probably green tea. I drink it like it is a life source, but at least it is not too harmful. Story 77. Green tea. Not the sugary latte kind, just plain, high-quality, freshly brewed green tea. Story 78. Napping is underrated until you realize it is basically your brain's favorite way to hit pause and recharge. Power naps for the win. Story 79. Steak and eggs twice with supplements. Beetroot, fish oil, vitamin D3, iodine, magnesium bisglycinate, and zinc. Story 80. Coffee and peanuts, but not necessarily at the same time. I get restless if I do not exercise for a couple of days. Story 81. Romance novels are absolutely addicting, but they are increasing my vocabulary, so it is all good. Story 82. Cooking all my own food makes me genuinely excited to cook. Story 83. Showing up to events I am invited to has made a huge difference in my social life. Simply making an appearance, even if only to say hello, has improved my connections. Story 84. Weight training, I love it, and I am at the gym 5 times per week. Story 85. I'm addicted to things being less than perfect. I even set my alarms to unusual numbers. Story 86. I used to eat 6 liters of jelly a day. I had a binge eating issue, and my hunger hormone never stopped. I mixed 100 grams of gelatin with 3 liters of water, twice, with sugar-free cordial and 40 grams of sweetener. Now I am on tirzepatide, and it has blocked the food cravings. I am now on 2 liters of jelly a day. Story 87. Woodland walks identifying fungi. I feel physically and mentally refreshed afterward, even though it is not intense exercise, especially if I find a species I have not seen before. Story 88. Fruit. I don't eat unhealthy sugar, so I chose and found my true love, fruit. Story 89. I am addicted to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think that is better than methamphetamine. Story 90. I love waking up at 5 a.m. and walking around to watch the neighborhood wake up. Story 91. Lollipops. I haven't drunk any other flavored drinks since I discovered those. Story 92. Crochet. I get anxious when I am about to finish a project because it means I have to think of something new to make. The thought of not having a project to work on makes me uneasy. I need something to occupy my hands. Story 93. Walks with my dog in the morning, especially if it is cold and clear. I put a coat on both of us, and it is so refreshing. Story 94. Honestly, volunteering is something I like because it allows me to help others and enjoy the social interaction. It also gives some normalcy to my life. I would do it every day if I could. Story 95. Walking only on the golf course. Walking 9 holes is preferred over riding 9 holes. Story 96. Working out. I feel lazy if I do not make it to the gym and burn at least 1,000 calories. 1,500 is my typical goal. Story 97. I really like those single-serve drink mixes where you just add water. Even bigger brands like Snapple and Crush have their powdered drinks on the shelf. I don't know if they have any downsides, but the drinks themselves are only 5 calories. Story 98. Gym and spin class. I take 1 rest day a week, so I think I'm good. Story 99. A variety of fruit every day, a few dates, and a few different kinds of nuts. Story 100. Exercise is a healthy habit, but being very anxious as soon as I don't exercise for 2 days bothers me. Story 101. Fruit. I eat way more fruit than the average American. I should probably eat more vegetables though. Story 102. For some reason last year I was buying Duke Cannon soaps like they were going out of business. I probably have 3 years of soap, body wash, beard products, and so on. 99% of it was on clearance while they switched their image. I always smell great now. Story 103. Cycling. Riding my bicycle is one of my favorite and most addictive hobbies. Story 104. Doing sports like Muay Thai, weightlifting, calisthenics, and running every day is my way to stay sane. Story 105. Reading books almost every time I get a free moment for myself. It is the equivalent of a smoking break for me. Story 106. Morning walks are essential to start my day. They clear my head and boost my mood. Story 107. Fitness. I think it is quite literally the healthiest addiction to have. I am very fit, and I really enjoy competing with my previous self to be fitter. It is fun. Story 108. I feel strange if I do not work out at least once a day. I balance this healthy habit with alcohol. Story 109. Sparkling water and coffee. I barely drink plain old water. Story 110. Diet Coke, 50 days sober today, and it feels like a better alternative. Story 111. Pepsi Max. I know people say it is unhealthy, but honestly, the worst it does is make you crave real sugar, which I can handle. Story 112. Pellegrino. I love that spicy sparkling water. I have met 2 other people who actually enjoy it in the past approximately 20 years. Story 113. Caesar salads. I eat at least one every day, and the ingredients list keeps growing. Story 114. Buying expensive Counter-Strike skins because I can just sell them later if I need to. Story 115. Funny enough, trading card games specifically promote critical thinking, are fun, and help me take a break from looking at a screen for a good amount of time. Story 116. Smoking marijuana helps prevent violent behavior and is relatively healthier for everyone. Story 117. There is no such thing as addiction unless it harms you. Story 118. I really like broccoli. My friends have taken several pictures of me getting a lot of broccoli at hot pot places. Story 119. Every night, a small chunk of 90% dark chocolate covered in honey and peanut butter with a date on top. It is unreal. Story 120. Drinking fresh tea that I use my stainless steel steeper so I don't have a boiled plastic bag in my tea. Story 121. Lifting weights. I have been lifting for almost 20 years, and I am only in my mid-30s. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.